this is the Food Tech Information Session. Our main session tonight will be presented by Rebecca Robertson, Program Head of Food Tech, but I am Erin Ruggieri, and I am one of the Marketing Coordinators in Health Sciences at BCIT. So some basic instructions before we get started here. If you do have any questions as we go along, please feel free to type them into the chat function that you'll find either at the top or the bottom of your screen, depending on how you have it set up there. We will try to type answers to some of those questions as we go along, or we will answer them out loud at the end of the session. So we can have a kind of a chat going on towards the end with everybody. I do also ask that you stay on mute for the duration of the session, just so that we avoid any interference or background noise. I want to start by saying that the British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of the Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam. And of course, we're probably all joining from other territories this evening as well, while we zoom in from home or from work or wherever we may be. So our agenda this evening, welcome and introductions. That's what I'm doing right now. We're going to watch a short video about food technology. We're going to have a presentation and program overview from Rebecca, some information on admissions and program advising, and then we'll have some time for Q&A towards the end. So I think we're going to go right into our video. I'm actually going to switch to my other screen for this.
Great job.
We have been making wines, and today we finally get to bottle it and drink it and have different flavors that different groups made. I chose food tech because you get to learn everything about food, which is like so exciting. I love being at BCIT and being part of this program.
Basically, food technology helps students work with food manufacturers to make food that is safe to eat and is of high quality. So here at BCIT, we teach the food technology students how to develop and implement the food safety and quality systems that are going to run. And we also teach them the various test methods for supporting those food safety and quality programs. Students that graduate in food technology work with food safety programs, and so they're trained to develop and implement them. These are very significant programs now for the food industry. And so our students are really capable of carrying those programs on and expanding them.
At the packaging line, we have to make sure that the product is at its highest quality and also that we're producing at the most efficient rate. So I love my job because I get to control the quality of the product and to meet the highest standards. When I started in the food industry, I realized that what I learned in the program actually is what I'm going to do. So you're prepared for the job.
The best kind of student for food technology is somebody that really cares about food. So somebody that might like to experiment with food, producing it and working with it. Just being that close to the food that we're producing, it really makes you feel good about what you do for a living.
I'm now going to introduce Rebecca. So Rebecca, on to you to discuss the program.
Okay. So welcome everybody to the food technology session. I am the program head for the area at this point. And I've been working at BCIT for about 12 years. And so I instruct in this program, and I'm also a researcher in the Natural Health and Food Products Research Group at BCIT. And to just go over a little bit more about what food technology is, really what this food technology area is, because food technology, when you say you're a food technologist, I don't know, sometimes people go, you can look at them and they can say, you can see that they're not sure what you're going to say to them. And in some ways, it's almost a conversation stopper. So what's food technology? And so food technology is the area of science that trains students to assist food manufacturers produce the food that they desire to produce. So they're making some kind of bar like Cliff Bars, or we saw Left Coast Natural. So that food is designed to be sold to customers. So our students are trained to help food manufacturers produce that food, and making sure it meets the quality and food safety parameters that it needs to meet. And so students get lots of hands-on training in measuring things like texture, which is what this slide is showing, and perhaps doing things like measuring the pH of the product, the water activity, possibly the microbial load. And then just as important to interpret the data. So they'll measure something and then they interpret it. And is that something that we desire? Is that the right measurement, or is that measurement out of spec? So we also train students to actually troubleshoot problems. So if the measurements aren't right, what do we do to get back into specification? As the video said, one of the things that is really important now is to have the skills to develop and implement the food safety and quality programs that are needed in every food plant now. And so you get lots of training in that. And the other thing that happens is that we train students to perform product development and commercialization, because new products are kind of the lifeblood of a food company. And so if you understand how to produce a new product, and the big thing that we train our students to do is just not just making the product, but what type of packaging should it be in? What's the shelf life of that new product? Are there new hazards that are coming into the plant with that product? Are there allergens in it? So that kind of thing. So that's what we train our students for. And then of course, things like the nutrition facts table and the ingredient listing, making sure that's all correct. And just let me look at my notes here to see anything else that I should be talking about. One thing we also do is we are teaching continuous improvement skills. And so that's really important in food manufacturing. So every problem that comes up, or every sort of challenge that comes up, you can turn it into an opportunity to improve the business. And we offer that kind of skill set to our students. So is food technology for you? So one thing is being curious and fascinated by the science behind food. So if you really enjoy working with food and you enjoy making it at home, or you actually enjoy that aspect. So when you go on trips, like I always end up at farmers markets or doing the farm tours wherever I go. If you're that kind of person, this might be for you. Process oriented and accurate. So food processing is a manufacturing process. And so in that way, that whole aspect of we're running a process. And so there's certain things that come out of that. So as processes run, there's certain things that we have to do as the process runs. So we understand, as we run the process, we're going to do some monitoring checks, etc. So we're going to make sure the process is running properly. And so that's where the accuracy comes in, is that when we do the checks, we have to make sure we do them properly. And that when we fix things, we measure again and we ensure that the measurement is correct. Able to work independently and as part of a team. So both skills work, because sometimes you'll be working on your own. And then at other times you will be part of a team, kind of like every job these days, it seems like. And we're interested in working in an exciting and fast-paced environment. So food manufacturing is fast, and every day there's a deadline. And so every day you have to have produced a certain amount of food so that you can get it out to your customer at the right time. And so that kind of, it's a fast-paced environment. So if you enjoy that kind of environment, this is a great job for you. So what do we need to get in? So I need to be a high school graduate and have an aptitude for science. And again, an interest in learning more about food and helping make sure the food that we're eating is the best it can be. So the program overview. So this program is a 2-year diploma program. You're going to get trained in the basics of food technology. And so that includes food processing, quality control, food testing analysis, data analysis. And that also includes, so quality control which is actually covers food safety. So you learn all the current methods for implementing food safety and quality programs, because those are so important these days. The program includes a combination of lectures and labs. And so you get both the theory and the hands-on, and we've got a good mix of that. And that's one of the things that we have that's better than many universities, especially lately, is that many universities have actually cut their labs and we have kept them. So our specialty is to provide students that are ready for industry. And so we give you a lot of hands-on experience. And then we also provide an industry-sponsored project and product development course. These are capstone courses that really give you good applied learning opportunities so that you're working very closely with industry in both of those courses. And so you really get a taste of what it's going to be like to work with industry when you graduate. So those are two very good courses that we have, and that's in the last term. So it's a 2-year program, 4 terms. So those are both offered in our 4th term. The career outlook is that you'll get work within 2 months of graduating or sooner. And there's lots of job opportunities these days. And you can be working in a variety of sizes. So we've got larger food manufacturers, and then we've got smaller food manufacturers. And our graduates are trained to work pretty much in any size of operation. So, and then we have some graduates, they're going into their own family businesses. So there's all sorts of different experiences that are happening. Some people are maybe want to also commercialize their own food. So they might come to food technology to get a better understanding of how to manage that food product when it's commercialized. And so this applied work experience, you're going to have the skills that you need to really have a great career in food manufacturing. And so here's some previous grads. So we had a couple graduates that started up Tempeh Foods. And so they make tempeh out of pea protein and also traditional tempeh, but they came to food technology to understand how to better manage their business. And here's Andrew Williamson, who's one of our graduates from a year and a bit ago, but he came to study food tech at BCIT because he wanted to utilize his educational experiences that he already had in sciences and his interest in cooking. And so, and as he states, as with most programs at BCIT, the practical labs were the most enjoyable aspect, but I also really enjoyed the product development course in 2nd year. And that's what Andrew is aiming for. And so he's working at a produce plant now and doing very well in his career at that plant and really enjoying the work. Oh, so I guess we're over to you now, Erin, is that right?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
So, I will take this portion. So thank you, Rebecca, for all that great information about the program and the career. And now we're going to talk a bit about the admissions and entrance requirements. So this program starts each year in September. And the applications opened for this program just a few weeks ago on October 1st, and they will stay open until we fill the program. So applying early is recommended as there are limited seats available, and this is kind of a first qualified, first in program. So if you meet all the application entrance requirements, you will be accepted if you apply early enough. So the application steps are as follows. First, you want to review the requirements and the application dates on our website, bcit.ca. You want to gather all the documents you need to apply and convert those to PDF files. You want to go online and complete the mandatory applicant questionnaire that will tell us a bit more about you. And then you apply online at bcit.ca. So the entrance requirements for this program. Fairly straightforward here. You do need to have proficiency in speaking and listening in English. So you do need to have 2 years of full-time education in English in an English-speaking country or an equivalent test or score. So we want you to have English Studies 12, so that's your grade 12 English, with at least 67%, Chemistry 11 with at least 67%, and for math requirements, that's either pre-calculus 12 at 67% or foundations of math 12 at 73%. You might have all these, but we also want to make sure you have the qualities to be successful in our program and in the profession. So we'd like you to have strong communication skills, speaking and listening, reading and writing, because as Rebecca said, this is a job where you work as a team and work with other people a lot of the time. So you need to be able to communicate effectively. An interest in analytical work, an attention to detail, problem solving and decision-making skills, and teamwork people skills. So if you meet all of those and you want to apply, first thing you do is you upload digital copies of your transcripts and your documents. So there's a few options on how to do that. You can scan or take a picture of your official transcript and then upload it, or you can download your digital transcript from your previous school and upload it that way. We do not recommend mailing in transcripts. And if you are a previous BCIT student, have already taken courses at BCIT, you do not need to send us an official transcript from BCIT. We just recommend that you print off your unofficial transcript and load that up, just to highlight what courses you might have taken here. So once you've applied and sent all that in and paid the application fee, our admissions department will review your application to ensure that you meet all the requirements. And if a seat is available and you meet the requirements, it will be offered to you. At that time, you pay the commitment fee to say, yes, I do want to come to BCIT in September. Now, you might be wondering what comes after food tech. If I do the food technology diploma, there are other options. So yes, of course, there are options if you want to go straight into work, that's wonderful, but at some point you want to maybe come back and do a bit more education, a bit more schooling. There's always options to continue your education. And one of those is the Bachelor of Technology in Environmental Public Health at BCIT. And that's, like it says right there, a bachelor's degree that you can do after you've completed food tech. And we also have a Bachelor's of Technology Management at BCIT that you can check out. So as we really like to support our BCIT students. So once you get accepted and you become a BCIT student, there's a few ways that BCIT would like to highlight that we support your success here. The first one is Indigenous services. So if you identify as an Indigenous person, Indigenous services offers a gathering place for everyone to gather together. They offer supports, specific funding for Indigenous students, kind of a home away from home in their department there. We also have our Student Financial Aid and Awards Department. So that's where you can find out about bursaries, scholarships you can apply for, student loans, financial aid of all kinds. And they have all kinds of information that they can give you and point you in the right direction. We also have accessibility services for anybody who has either permanent or a temporary disability. So if you believe that you have a disability that might require you to have accommodation while studying at BCIT, Accessibility Services is a department on campus that meets with you and sets that up with your instructors and with your program. Student health services, really love to highlight this one. We have a full service student health clinic on campus with doctors and a nurse on staff. So if you need medical care and you either don't have a GP or you can't get in with your GP in a timely manner, they do have appointments available between your classes, after class, before class. So they're a great resource to have handy at all times on the Burnaby campus while you're studying here. And just down the hall from student health, we also have counseling and student development. So we do offer free counseling to all enrolled students at BCIT. And we can't forget our physical selves. We also have recreation services. So we have a full service gym with weight room and cardio machines. We have fitness classes and different intramural sports teams as well. So we really want to make sure that our students are successful all around while they're here at BCIT. So after this, if we don't get to all of your questions that I see I'm going to be posting in the chat right now, we do urge that if you have any questions about applying to the program, that you contact program advising. Now they have telephone advising, drop-in in-person advising, and Zoom options. And you can contact them by email. I will say that before you contact them, you're going to want to go to their website, bcit.ca/advising, as I know that these times listed here are constantly changing depending on kind of what's going on in their department from week to week. So, but again, program advising is a great resource. They know all our programs in and out, and they can give you advice on your application. Now that you've heard a bit about BCIT, health sciences, and food tech, we'd really like you to keep in touch. So we just encourage you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. And then there are some options to learn more about BCIT that are listed on your screen there. So I know we went over a lot of information quite quickly there. So now I will see if there are any questions in the chat that Bhavina hasn't been able to quickly answer. Although I'm guessing Bhavina posted a bunch of information. Yes, she did. Thank you, Bhavina. Now, is there any other questions that anybody would like to ask about food tech or about BCIT? And since we're a very small group, if you want to just unmute and ask your question right now, that's totally fine too. Whichever you feel more comfortable with, typing in the chat or asking a question out loud. If there's no questions. Rebecca, do you have anything to add that I might have missed in that last half there?
I don't think so. It's a great career. I've done it for 40 years. This is my 40th year. So hard to believe, really.
And there's a lot of growth within the career and changes over time. So it's definitely not stagnant, is it?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've done a lot of different things, different industries. I've worked in the wine industry. I've worked in the produce industry, the dairy industry, making peanut butter, jams and jellies, dressings, so all sorts of things. So there's all sorts of different opportunities, and of course the plant-based is so big now. Food science.
Yeah,
there we go.
Question.
So food science is where when you go to a university and you go for a 4-year program, you'll get a food science degree. And what the food science degree has is more the theory. So for example, there's Browning reactions in food. And we might talk about Browning reactions in food technology, and it's more around very sort of practical things around how do you prevent browning, but you don't go so much into all the equations, like the actual chemical reactions. So in food science, you actually delve deeper into things like the chemistry of things, sort of a deeper dive. And actually the first 2 years tend to be just quite a bunch of sciences, like any science degree. And then you go into more of the food science things, but food technology is more hands-on, and in a way sort of really teaching you, the practical things you'll be doing on the production floor. So does that help you, Gabby?
Gabby says,
You're welcome.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yeah.
That is a very good question that we sometimes get.
And we sometimes get food scientists coming to us after they've graduated to get their hands on.
Rebecca, I have a question for you. How does this relate to public health inspection?
Okay, so we have some students that go into public health inspection, and what happens with public health inspection is that public health inspectors have food processing plants in their portfolio, but they also have many other things. So they do regulatory around things like tobacco sales, liquor, swimming pools. I'm not actually they probably do a lot more, and food processing is a piece of that portfolio. And so what happens is if you want to become a public health inspector, quite often the processing plants are a significant part of that portfolio. I've had feedback that environmental health officers really appreciate having the food technology background when they become an environmental health officer. But environmental health officer is very much a regulatory position, whereas most of if you are a food technologist and you graduate, you're working in the food industry and you're getting inspected by the environmental health officers. And then we also have some students that become inspectors. So they'll go become food technologists, then they might become an environmental health officer, and then because of their background in food technology, they have the opportunity to go into this Canadian Food Inspection Agency, for example, as an inspector. So if you take this diploma close, am I able to continue? What'll happen is you won't get as many credits as you think you should get. So what will happen is that you'll end up probably taking that 6 years. if you're thinking one or the other, I would go check out food science and really think about what you might do. If you do it the other way, if you become a food scientist and then come into food technology, you'll actually get more credits for the sciences.
Rebecca, there's also a question from Stan about the average salary in the area. I know that might be hard to say because it's such a varied profession.
It is a varied profession, and also there's been a labor shortage in the industry, so the wages have actually been going up. So my last sort of looking at industry and talking to my colleagues there, you should be expecting about $25 an hour at this point.
I do want to draw your attention to this next slide here. We've got Rebecca's direct email address and also, again, program advising. But if you have any questions about admissions, about applying, about, hey, does this course on my transcript match up with whatever I need, that's program advising. If you have questions about the program and about the career, Rebecca is your person to contact and reach out to, and she'd gladly answer your questions. So I know not everyone can think of your questions or iterate them right on the spot tonight, but that is a great follow-up. And as I mentioned earlier, this session has been recorded, so in about a week's time you will get an email to the email address you used to sign up for the session with a copy of this slide deck and a copy of the video recording, so you can review it in case you've missed anything tonight. I just want to thank you everyone for joining us and for taking the time, and best of luck in your educational journeys. Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Nice to meet you. And yeah, contact me if you have questions.